we are up to episode 6, I think?
Yep, part 6.
Part 6 of the bed process. We are now at the point where we're looking at building the base of the bed. So yesterday, Dad and I did a bit of a shopping trip. So we've ended up with these as our brackets. So we bought 4 of these.
To support the base.
So they'll go like that. We bought all our hardware. We were going to use Cuphead bolts, but ended up having to use hex head because they didn't have long enough ones. You win some, you lose some. And the only actual physical thing we did on the bed was we did the dowels. So we did a test piece on just a piece of scrap, the one we'd done the test tenons on.
Actually, which is down here somewhere. I can edit this while I'm standing there going like that.
Yeah. So we, Dad went through with his 19mm
Spade
bit. This is the bottom, so you can see there was blowout.
Which we didn't notice.
We didn't realise. I did comment on it.
Oh, you might have done.
But what we ended up doing was we ended up going most of the way through until it just poked out the other side, the tip of the bit, and then we just did the last little bit. And Dad put tape on his spade bit so that we could tell how far down to go. And then it was very simple putting the dowels in after that. Dad knocked them in, I tested and made sure they didn't go too far, and then we chopped them off. And rinse and repeat for the whole thing. So today, we are going to be doing mainly thicknessing, actually. We've got Dad's saw horses back out. We're going to rip, this is the center beam, down to, we said 16 mil? So that
16 mil thinner than
what it is currently. So we're going to take 16 mil off, and then we're going to thickness the slats, which I'm very excited about.
Actually, all right, let's...
So...
Thank you, Granddad.
Thank you, Granddad. My granddad has, had a couple of block of lands. He sold one not that long ago in the bush, and he is a logger by trade. So he has, over the years, he got a sawmill and has done, quite a bit of wood. My aunt's house all the floorboards is made out of wood from that sawmill. And then, so Dad went, well, you go check and see what the hardware man has, and I will see what your grandfather has. And it turns out Granddad has Fates palings in a massive pile. So I'm very excited to have some of Granddad's hardwood. And these are going to be our slats. So these need to be thicknessed. They also need to be trimmed to the right length, but we're going to do that when we're going to set it up, the whole bed up, and just confirm lengths and make sure things all fit right before it goes over to mine. So that'll be like one of the last things we do. But yes, I think that's our goal for today. Get this down and get this
we're going to do all the thicknessing. When we've done all the thicknessing, then I can set up my, over there, circular saw, drop saw. And once we've got that done, we can
do all our trimming.
We can cut. We've got to take all 3, these and these 2, down to the correct length, because I cut them on the assumption that we're going to half section. We're going to half section them
which was the original plan when we were going to buy all the timber new, and we didn't do that. So we had to change the plan to work with the timber that we had.
Well, also, I haven't half-sectioned them on our bed. I just thought, no, mine's just on the brackets.
You're right, no. Yeah.
So I thought we might half-section them in, but they were potentially going to interfere with these. Well, if we half-section, we'd be taking out a lot of our tenons. So don't want to do that. So we'll just cut these beams to the length that we want between the head and tail board on the inside. But yes, we'll do all the thickness of those, and we'll rip this down. And then once we're going to thickness those first, because I'm not sure what they're going to come down to.
We don't know 100% what the numbers are.
So when we've got them all thickness down to the right size, then we'll finalise this beam to suit.
They could be all 19 mil, they could be 18, they could be...
Yeah, I mean, a millimetre on this is getting a bit ridiculous because, you know, the boards are going to flex a millimetre and the mattress would take them up. But let's try and do it right. So, yeah, we'll rip this beam.
We'll thickness them.
We'll thickness all of them, and based on the size we get on those...
We'll thickness this.
We'll thickness this to match.
And that's...
And actually, when you think about it, these base boards are not necessarily even completely flat. We looked at that.
Yeah, I think we found, if I'm remembering correctly, that they were not flat either.
So
So
I'm being overly...
Flat is a measure of ideals in this bed.
But...
not necessarily reality.
My view on this sort of stuff is that if you say, it doesn't matter, and then you work on the assumption that it doesn't matter...
Then it does end up mattering.
Well, no, what happens is you get slack. And then you find yourself doing things because you go, it doesn't matter. But by the time you put 20, it doesn't matters together, it does matter because they accumulate. And if they all go the wrong way, you can have something that just simply doesn't fit.
Cumulative error.
Whereas if you actually work on the assumption that
everything matters.
It does matter, and you make some effort. When you go to put it together, it gives you a much better chance of getting a good result. So we're going to work on that principle. All right, so let's rip this. Good there?
Are up to drilling all the holes for the hardware. So, Dad...
How about you introduce that again, saying we're part 6 of the bed
No,
because...
we're not. We already did that.
We did. You're right. All right, I'll go back.
Showed off the hardware stuff.
Good
I'm
pointing.
right.
Okay, I'll cut this out because you were right.
Just lost my train of thought.
So we're doing holes.
We're doing the holes today. And we went... Okay, originally Dad was thinking that we would invest in a...
long series.
Long series, that's the word. And found one...
Long series drill.
Yes, long series drill. Which he found one on for $30, except those ones were a 2-week wait time. So instead we went, let's just see how this looks when we clamp it up. So we made a system to keep things square. So Dad used the drill press to drill through these 2 holes so they'd be square to each other and square to the job, and made it so that we can use them as guides as we're going through. And then we've just clamped a piece of ply on the other side so that the blowback's on this, not on the job. And
blow out
that thing. And we've measured it and designed it so that the base of the bed is going to be flush on the outer side. And then, so this is the correct distance in, and we're just basically clamping it and drilling it. So we went and got the longer drill bit, and Dad drilled the first one, and I had to go drilling the second one. And yeah, it worked, so that's good.
So I guess we'll pull this off and see whether everything goes together.
Yeah.
I know. And Melissa has found you can feel when the flutes are clogged. And you kind of know when you've got to come and clear the flutes. You can feel it, can't you, Melissa? Don't nod.
Yes. Hot.
Yeah, it gets a bit hot. Got a bit generous on the speed there.
Yes, I realised that. And we're through.
I know. And I've already put that on. The holes were not perfectly positioned, and I, being optimistic, had drilled the brackets 8.5mm, so they're now drilled 10 and we've got no problems. So we'll just keep going and drill the rest of these.
We have a bed semi-assembled. Okay, so last we spoke, I think we were talking about, we did the brackets. Dad, and we were drilling the holes. So that jig worked really, really good. And then when I went home, Dad cut these ones to length. He also cut that one to the same length, which apparently was not what we wanted.
Well, when I looked at it, we got this gap here. So the distance, we've got to add, we should have
added that.
I should have, as Melissa pointed out, I should have added that amount on this end
and
this amount
on that end.
On that end, which if we actually measure it, which I've not done yet, there's 10 mil on this end and there's 20 mil on that.
So 30 mil. So it's probably it is 30 mil shorter than it technically is supposed to be. But that's okay because we're just going to factor that in when we make the bracket, which is what we're up to now. So Dad drilled through these ones and got it all assembled last night.
And to give that a little bit of a wibbly wobbly to show what this bed's strength is like.
It doesn't really move very far unless you really go for it.
So it's actually...
You're lifting it rather than... and then today...
Oh, and by the way, a neighbour
is watching something, so if you hear weird noises in the background...
He's got a big subwoofer and he likes it.
It's alright. Dad also listens to loud music, so... and so today we've just come over after an Australia Day lunch at my sister's place, and we disassembled it down in the workroom.
So down there's the workroom.
And then we've brought it up here and reassembled it, and now we're up to making the brackets. Dad thought that he could use the leftovers of those brackets.
Yeah, there's these ones. Oh, you can't really see because of the light, but...
Hang on, if I come over here I can edit this. If you can see, there we've got these brackets here for these roof supports, and I thought I could use those
because he got given way too many.
Because I got about, I don't know, 10 or 15
Something
left
over.
From when I built this.
But they're not the right size.
These beams are 50, and that one's at least 60.
Yes, I think you said 75 if I remember correctly,
Well,
which
yeah.
I might not be remembering correctly. Who knows? So instead, we're going to fabricate our own. Dad's got some...
Flat steel.
That's the word I was looking for. That we'll use, and that's the next step. So the hope is that we can get that done, and then it will be putting it on, cutting the slats to size, and putting them in.
Oh, we've got to put the bits
and
down.
Put the bits inside.
We've got to put stuff on here to support the...
Which we've bought.
Which we have, and it's all cut. We just need to screw it on, so it needs to be screwed there. That'll be a very quick job.
And then we're going to use some angle on either side just to put the...
We've got bits to go across between the...
along the inside. And we're going to just put some angle in because with how sturdy this bed is, we don't have to worry about structural integrity. Like, it can be aesthetic. And it's only, 20 mil? Something like that? Thick.
Yeah.
So it's to make it look pretty. So resting on some angle will do the job. And then theoretically, we can disassemble it all and then put it on Dad's ute and get it to my place tomorrow, and I might even be sleeping in my bed tomorrow.
Let's get this working. Here's the brackets we knocked up. Just cut a bit of flat here, 2 bits of flat, welded them in, and then welded this base in. So they're on there. Someone's riding their motorbike. And if we're lucky, that bit of wood will fit in, that piece here, will fit in and we'll have a centre support.
Slotted right in.
As it should.
Yes.
So there we go. I don't think we need to worry about... See, we've got a little bit of a gap on each end.
That is not going to make a difference.
But the job of this bit is to support the middle of the slats, and it'll do that. So, okay, I cut it a bit short, but it's okay.
Okay, it is very probably our last day. Before I came over, I cleared my room. My mattress is now up against the wall. So theoretically, it's going in today. First job is we trimmed our slats so that they've got a flat end.
Yeah, we did all the bottom
Did
ends.
all the bottoms, and now we're just going through and we're measuring them. We measured inside to inside, and it was 1485, but at the one end it was closer to 1480. So we figured we'd cut them to length, and then fit the ones that fit, and then trim the ones that don't fit. So
this is our waist. I squared this end with the minimum removal. So these are what Dad had sitting on his undercover. This was his stock of fence palings. So I don't know if you actually went to make this and decided you wanted to cut them, I think you'd make them this length. So perfect. Very, very little waste. This is great. Okay, let's start cutting them.
Well, we trimmed all these. That was where we left you off. We trimmed these all. Dad screwed them in. We drilled pilot holes and then countersunk them and then just put screws in. And then we put it on the back of Dad's ute, which you can see out my window a little bit, and reassembled it. It was a little bit difficult to get to reassemble, but not too bad. And so now we have to determine, the original intent was to put a top around it. And we've got the stuff for that, and we actually brought Dad's drop saw because it's designed to be taken on site, so we've got that in the back of his ute, so we could do that here. But Mum then was like, aren't you going to have to crawl in? So we're going to put the mattress on and just see what it's like and how high it ends up being. But yes.
And if it comes down to it, we can put strings, wire around, and then you can hang things off that.
Yeah. Or Mum even mentioned put 3 around and then,
So
we've got options.
So we'll see where we're at. I know.
Well, we made the bed. It is the most made that it's ever going to be because I don't tuck things in, but Mum insisted. And Dad too, weirdly. We figure, based on heights and things, now that mattress is on, that we're not going to put the beams around. We're thinking maybe we'll put some eye bolts in. We'll probably put some eye bolts in at some point into them, so that I can string some stuff around.
Now, note the backdrop that Melissa's been working on.
Yeah. This is very much going to be a very whimsical thing. Bedroom. So I've got like fake ivy and things like that I've got planned. I've got my little step, which actually is the stool that I bought off Gumtree Marketplace for $30 to use for medieval reenactment. So now it can live here when I'm not at events. I'm very pleased with how this has turned out. And I'm very pleased with how the bed's turned out. It was a big job. And Dad asked me yesterday, what did you learn? Like, what are the things that you've learned over this? And I've learned a lot, some of which included stories about Dad that I didn't know, because that's half of the fun. But, we made so many things, and I learned so many skills, and discovered that I have a lacking in my tool collection of spanners. That'll be rectified, but I'm very pleased. This is everything I wanted. And I've been dreaming of this bed since I was about 16 years old, and I said to Dad, one day when I move out, we're going to make a bed together. And now we have. So, yeah.
There we go.
Thank you for joining us for this one.